On July 19, 2026, as the World Cup final played out, a different kind of contest reached its climax. An 87-year-old mathematical conjecture had fallen not to a human, but to an AI named Claude Fable 5. The Jacobian conjecture asks a question so simple it almost feels like a homework exercise. If a polynomial map f takes n-dimensional space to itself, and its Jacobian determinant is a non-zero constant, must f have a polynomial inverse? Ludwig Krauss first posed this for two variables in 1884, and Odd Heinrich Keller extended it to all dimensions in 1939. Maps with constant Jacobian are called Keller maps, and for decades the prevailing belief was that the answer had to be yes. But the conjecture's apparent simplicity hid deep subtlety. False proofs accumulated, some surviving years of scrutiny before collapsing. In 1998, Stephen Smale placed it as number 16 on his list of mathematical problems for the next century. The stakes rose further in 2005 when Tsukimoto proved that a positive answer would automatically solve the Dixmuir conjecture in non-commutative algebra. This deep connection made the problem even more tantalizing. Despite 87 years of effort, no counterexample had emerged. The idea that a constant Jacobian could fail to guarantee injectivity was tantalizing. It would overturn decades of intuition. That counterexample finally surfaced in 2026. July 19, 2026, the World Cup final is on every screen, but in a quiet server room, Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 is doing something extraordinary. Under the direction of mathematician Levent Alpöge, the AI has been hunting for a needle in a haystack, a polynomial map with constant Jacobian that fails to be injective. Alpöge had been probing the Jacobian conjecture for months, and Claude Fable 5's ability to manipulate degree 7 polynomials proved decisive. It finds a degree 7 monster in 3 variables. This map sends 3 distinct input triples to the same output, a cardinal sin for invertibility. Alpöge shares the explicit counterexample on social media, and within hours, the story breaks. ForkLog, OfficeChai, and New Scientist all report the news. AI's solution to 87-year-old riddle takes mathematicians by surprise. The map is so concrete that independent checks confirm its properties almost instantly. The reaction, noted OfficeChai, mixed with caution, given the conjecture's long history of false proofs. If it holds up, this is the end of a conjecture that has outlasted generations of mathematicians. For the first time, an AI, guided by a human expert, has cracked a major open problem in pure mathematics. Alpöge's counterexample is a degree 7 polynomial map in 3 complex variables. Its explicit form is long, but its Jacobian matrix can be computed symbolically. The essential fact, the Jacobian determinant is -2 everywhere, a non-zero constant. So the map satisfies the conjecture's premise. Yet it is not injective. 3 distinct points, 00-1/4, 1-3/2, 13/2, and -1 3/2, 13/2, all map to the same image, -1/400. This immediately proves that no polynomial inverse can exist, because an inverse must send each output to a unique input. The collision is the smoking gun. The 3 points are not random, they were pinpointed by the AI and verified algebraically. A SymPy verification script, shared by Zihan Zhang, confirms both the constant Jacobian and the collision in seconds. By scaling one output coordinate by -1/2, the Jacobian determinant becomes exactly 1, making it a textbook Keller map with constant Jacobian 1 that fails injectivity. This direct contradiction kills the Jacobian conjecture in dimension 3. It shatters a belief held for 87 years. This was a mathematical earthquake. A single degree 7 polynomial in 3 variables shattered a century of accepted wisdom. Once the 3D counterexample was confirmed, the next question was inevitable: what about higher dimensions? The answer came swiftly. By adjoining identity coordinates, essentially adding dummy variables that the map leaves untouched, the counterexample lifts to any dimension n greater than or equal to 3. The Jacobian remains constant, and the non-injectivity persists. This simple algebraic trick kills the Jacobian conjecture for all n greater than or equal to 3. But the domino effect didn't stop there. A theorem by Matthew linked the Jacobian conjecture to his own conjecture for compact Lie groups. JCN implies the Matthew conjecture for SU, n. With JC3 now false, the Matthew conjecture for SU3 collapses. The counterexample, when composed with a representation, produces an explicit violation of the Matthew conjecture, a problem that had stood since the 1990s. The implications rippled wider than anyone expected. The counterexample's lift to SU3 gave harmonic analysts an explicit function violating the orbital vanishing condition, a concrete counterexample to a problem that had stood for decades. The Matthew conjecture's fall was as clean as the Jacobians. But the story doesn't end with one map. Prompt-driven investigations, some by independent mathematicians, revealed that the counterexample is just the tip of an iceberg. Alexis Gallagher, building on the original find, constructed an infinite family of counterexamples in 3D where the number of colliding preimages can be any integer n greater than or equal to 3. For each n, there exists a degree 7 map with generic fiber having exactly n points mapping to the same image. Gallagher's deformation of the original map introduces parameters that control the fiber size, showing the original counterexample is part of a continuous moduli space. This means the failure of injectivity is not a fluke, it can be tuned to arbitrary complexity. The AI's output had uncovered a whole landscape of non-injective constant Jacobian maps. Suddenly, the Jacobian conjecture wasn't just false, it was very false, with a rich structure of counterexamples. Mathematicians are now exploring the geometry of these families, hoping to classify all possible collisions. Research is accelerating, with teams using AI to systematically map the space of counterexamples. The discovery has opened a new chapter in affine algebraic geometry, where machine-assisted search tools become essential partners. What began as a quiet AI experiment during the World Cup final has transformed into a tectonic shift in algebraic geometry. While the result still awaits formal peer review, the explicit nature of the counterexample and the flurry of independent verifications leave little room for doubt. From a single polynomial collision, an entire edifice of conjectures collapsed: Jacobian, Matthew, and the belief in uniqueness. The future of mathematical discovery now belongs to collaborations that pair deep human questions with tireless AI computation.